What's cooking, folks? Vermillion Phoenix here, and today we are going to be looking at the Slag Fields. Now, this is a level that some people also find very difficult, just like the Order Enclave, and it's for a few reasons, in my opinion. The par time is super tight. You have 8 waves here in 13 minutes to do them. That works out to just slightly over a minute 30 per wave, I believe. I don't know. Sometimes I can do math, sometimes I can't. But we're going to do this primarily with a selection of Ballista, and also we're bringing the Crossbow and the Ice Amulet for this one as well. The Crossbow is something that I don't use a lot, but probably should get in the habit of. The Crossbow is actually a very powerful physical ranged weapon, and it does a lot of good when you are aiming for rapid headshots on heavy enemies. It's probably up there with the blunderbuss, maybe a little bit better for dealing damage to the heavies. It just isn't quite as good at dispatching certain other types of enemies like the Earth Lords. But the Ice Amulet's really what we want to bring for all of our heavy enemies, just because of the fact that we can kind of burst them down, and it increases the physical damage, so you get boosted damage on headshots from the crossbow, and it can make a lot of them in rapid succession. And it also works against the majority of the flyers, obviously not the frostbats since they're ice immune. Normally what I would try to do here is place a few more ballista downstream, but I'm placing the ballista above the rift specifically because with the way that we're going to set up the two side areas that I build smaller kill boxes for most of the enemies, it's going to filter out almost all of the light enemies without much issue. The heavy fire fiends, the fire fiend overlords, and the trolls and ogres have a chance of getting through them, but we're going to add a bit of like heavy enemy burst damage to kind of whittle those numbers down a bit so we don't have to worry about them quite as much. This will not work for mountain trolls, though. Mountain trolls are absolutely going to be getting through, even better than an armored ogre would, just because of their huge health pools. You'll see, this is the zoom on the crossbow. I believe it makes your fire rate slightly lower, but it maintains that headshot accuracy. So you can use that to kind of shoot downstream flyers with better accuracy if you have trouble doing it with any other weapons. What I would highly recommend, because of the par time restrictions here and because of how far back I'm building this kill box, don't use tar in the beginning. Set up as much damage in these kill boxes as you possibly can. The brimstones and the lasers and the arrow walls are going to be much more important than trying to set up anything that'll slow the enemy down. Slows seem like a good idea, like, you know, everybody likes to impulsively throw down the brimstone and tar patterns, and that's not a bad idea, but personally I think that here, slowing the enemies down, especially with the super tight part time, is going to be an issue. Now, you might be able to clear this a little bit quicker if you were to build your kill boxes closer to the gates, but that's one of the reasons you're going to really want to focus on, at least for the first 2 waves, killing the flyers as soon as possible. I would actually recommend probably zooming in with the crossbow a bit sooner, or spamming the ice amulet as soon as you get a layer of non-frost flyers. And you know, if you wanted to just burst down the flyers, you could try bringing the stone staff and jumping into the window up front. It would be slightly faster than this, but I feel like the stone staff doesn't really handle a lot of situations here quite as well as I would want it to, because I want to be able to freeze enemies that are at range, because there's a couple of archers, and there's also Cyclops mages which will be coming in here, and trying to get close to them with the stone staff just to get the CC off is going to make you take quite a few hits. It also runs you the risk of losing some barricades if enemies deal just a bit too much damage to you when you get close. But it does have the added benefit of costing less mana. So, you know, your mileage may vary. Take the weapons that you believe work best for you. But you'll see here, I'm trying to burst down the bottom row of flyers. They come in two levels. There's like a top group and a bottom group. They spread out after they get through the purple gate in the rear. And if you take out one of them, your ballista will have a better time shooting the other ones down. If you just leave all of them there, I missed that knoll as it was running in. Sometimes the knoll will run in, sometimes it'll still chase you if you are not in an area where it has, well, if you're on the platforms that are in the center that aren't connected to any place where they can run towards you, they'll just run in the rift. As soon as they have a path to you, they'll divert their direction from the rift and then just chase you down. So you want to probably just let them die as soon as possible unless they happen to already be in your path. You can kill them for a little bit of extra coin, but for the most part, it's probably just going to be easier for people to let the gnolls die and you know, just have no issues or have to deal with them at all. So you'll see here, I don't really have enough coin to actually build a brimstone or anything to boost the damage on that section. The gate that passed to the right of the rift always sends enemies out first, so we're going to go and try to deal with some of them. You can stand on these stairs and kind of try to pick off the heavy enemies. The trolls and the ogres are kind of a priority, but the heavy armored ogres, the armored ogres and mountain trolls are really the ones you want to worry about, the heavy units, because they have a very high chance of surviving everything. I took that death just because it got me back to where I wanted to be faster, but it also allowed us to get rid of the mountain troll. So there we go. Just want to burst down that knoll so it doesn't lock us down too much. While this wave isn't particularly an issue, what you're going to find to be a problem here is they're adding fire lords to this lane. And while I didn't do this, and you definitely should, if you bring the trap reset trinket, choose the upgrade that allows you to heal your barricades. That'll make sure that should you get a fire lord just die in the traps, which is very likely to happen, it won't just delete your barricades. You can use the trinket, it'll heal them to full health, and then you're good to go. Getting the damage set up here is super important for dealing with these earth lords. And I think the ballista is a little bit better for dealing with the earthlings once they pop out. Just because their heads are so tiny and you get to hit them with so many projectiles at once. I highly recommend placing some ballista in here to pepper the heavier enemies as they sort of get through things. The reason that I have the ballista around the rift is, again, just for that same reason. Your heavy enemies are the ones that you expect to get through the lasers and brimstone, and once they manage to do that, they will have a significantly smaller amount of health, so you can usually just burst them down with your crossbow, or let the ballista take a couple of shots at them, and it should take them out. What we're doing here is we're trying to basically snipe the heavy enemies by running through the orc numbers. And we run back to take out this troll since he makes it. He would have got shot by the ballista, but I'm not 100% sure that would have been enough damage to take him out, and I like to be safer rather than sorry. There's a couple times during this run where I don't quite make it back to the rift in time to really be as safe as I would like, and it's just due to a couple of player mistakes that I made while I was running through here. But you can see that for the most part, a lot of the enemies are kind of dying within the brimstone laser combo. The arrow walls are also kind of like bursting down a lot of things. Like, arrow walls are actually doing a lot of work here, and I like that a lot. Especially because of they're the least expensive wall trap, and with the amount of work that they actually do on this level, it's kind of amazing. I'm not sure what was going on here. I think there was an enemy that was likely trapped at a gate that I couldn't see. And I lost a few seconds there just waiting for it to die. Which always sucks when that happens. Like, I'm not a fan of, you know, some of the enemies that still get bugged out in their pathing. As, you know, the pars are really tight in Drastic Steps, more so than I think in the main campaign. And, you know, that may just be because of the way that I chose to do this. I don't like doing a lot of clears where I can't see where everything's happening. And the biggest difficulty that I feel like anybody's going to have with this is trying to set up a situation that clears both the heavy or the fat bats, like all of the full health elemental bats, and the hell babies, which are kind of like the faster flyers. They have a smaller profile, so they're harder for Ballista to hit. You can probably clear those with ceiling lasers, but ceiling lasers themselves really don't their damage is really low right now, especially after the August change. So to rely on those, especially when they don't work against the shock bats, is a little bit risky in my opinion. And you still wind up needing something else just to deal with the shock bats themselves if you don't want to manually snipe all of them. And they also cost a lot to get like decent coverage, which I find is less of an issue for the auto ballista. That said, you're going to want to, again, just keep prioritizing these heavies. Earth Lords on the left are going to be your biggest problem, mainly because they're not particularly fast. They keep splitting, and if you don't get them to split in the areas where they take the AoE damage, it might be a bit of an issue. So be aware, like your problem enemies are your super heavies, which are Earth Lords, armored ogres, and mountain trolls. The regular trolls and everything else will largely just get picked off by the rest of the traps that you have set up. They take a decent amount of damage from the lightning lasers. If you absolutely positively want to, you could probably drop the brimstones for some wall chargers. Wall chargers will do lovely amounts of damage here. And I messed up that arrow wall a bit, but it did what it needed to. It may have even been better overall for me to use a few more auto ballista rather than just the wall traps here, as they would have been able to pick off. Ooh, that was risky. Just that right there, I should have actually been a bit closer to the rift by the time I got that done, but because I was placing the extra traps, I didn't quite make it in time. But if I would have made that decision sooner, I would have got to the rift sooner and been able to just snipe them down without using an AoE freeze. But again, that's what I meant about player mistakes earlier. Like, you can definitely clear a few things here a bit faster just by making your decisions quicker. But you know, the last batch of coin for this level, I really wasn't 100% sure of how to spend. And you know, the answer I think would have probably just been ballista on the left and right sides. Just throw up a few of them and pick off the heavier enemies. And especially these enemies that kind of sit in the back, those are the ones that get into your traps last, and also they're somewhat heavy, so you want to get them down. And then we just finish off the remaining Earthlings, and we're good. Either way, I hope this helps some people get through this if they were having difficulties with this level. I think Ballista work out very well here. The only thing that they don't handle extremely well are the hell babies, and for that you should be able to just take them out with a ranged weapon. It's not super difficult, and I think the crossbow does that job very well. But that is going to be all of the levels 5 skulled. Everything from campaigns 1 and 2, and I guess the next thing that we do is we look at hitting 25 plus waves on all of the endless maps. So that'll probably be what I'm looking into, as well as some critique of where the traps and things like that stand. But thanks as always, and until next video, take care of yourselves, folks. Have a good one.